Well, we did it, boys. 10,000 subscribers. That gives me approximately $10,000 per minute, but adjusted for inflation and the exchange rates, you gotta factor in taxes. I actually owe YouTube about 25 cents. And so, in celebration, we're doing 5 banger commanders. 5 of my favorites from Magic's history here. Some are under the radar, some are a little more popular or powerful, but each is a very unique build, so let's get into it. You guys come here because we all want to bash Jimmy Wong, right? And while you're here, you might as well like and subscribe. Now this is a relative newcomer, Hylda of the Icy Crown. Talking about that spicy gown, by the way. 2 blue and a white for a legendary creature, human warlock. It's a 3/4. Whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you may pay 1. When you do, choose 1. Create a 4/4 white and blue elemental creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Fabulous. Scry 2, then draw a card. So you're tapping your opponent's stuff. That's not great. I mean, we'd rather destroy things, exile things, whatever. Get rid of things permanently, but tapping something is super annoying. Now you have this suite of very cheap creatures that can do lots of tip tapping. This deck can be built on the cheap, man. Like this guy, the Gisserai Monk. 4 and a white creature, Gith Monk. It's a 3/2 with flash and flying. Has the Psychic Defense. When he enters the battlefield, tap all creatures you don't control. This guy's fruiting around limbo with his psychic abilities. Really, there are any number of creatures that do all this type of tip tapping, dude, in these colors. Got the Illithid Harvester out there. This guy's great in conjunction with its own adventure portion, which taps down creatures. So he comes in, and you know what? They're turned into 2/2 horrors, all those mean old big creatures out there. And as I always say, Magic the Gathering just isn't the same without a suite of hats that you can put in your deck. And we got the Crown of Winter out there. 3 generic mana for an artifact. Legendary artifact has 1 tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate during your turn. You can also pay 3, sacrifice it, draw a card for each tap creature your opponents control. So you refill your hand a little later in the game, get some free taps with artifacts like this, dude. Then you got the sweet Underwater Babe here. You can pay off all that tapping with a little more card draw with Charade of the Numbing Depths. I like how she's got 2 legs that each branch out into a tail, dude. That's a new take on the mermaid. Anyways, man, if you're looking for a supremely budget commander, Hylda is it, because tapping things down is not something that anybody wants. But I listen to Hylda here, man. Maybe I'll get to tap something for once in my life. Now, believe it or not, this card is 35 cents. Hanata Dawn Crowned. 1 red, blue, and a white for a legendary creature, Kieran Spirit. It's a 4/4 with flying and trample. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each target. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast for each target. This guy is hope that races on sunlit hooves, brother. This was my favorite commander from 2022. First of all, take a minute, check out the art, man. He's got a cool beard. He's got an almost human expression on his face, and he's got some dancing balls, just like your host, Nikki G. Mechanically, a 4/4 with flying and trample, sweet, and that last ability gives it pseudo ward 1. So this deck is all about interaction. X spells like Aurelia's Fury become really bonkers with this guy. It's basically free damn real estate, dude, and we know how the internet loves that. You have to pay attention to how the card reads. Like Blatant Thievery here. For each opponent, gain control of target permanent that player controls. So with Hanata out there, this costs 4 mana, and that's nutso. This guy makes some really bad cards really good. Like Roiling Waters here, 5 blue for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures your opponents control to their owner's hands. Target player draws 2 cards. It just says target. So if you target yourself to draw 2 cards, this is 4 mana. I'm flabbergasted, brother. Does Volcanic Offering cost 1 freaking mana? 4 and a red for an instant. Destroy target non-basic land you don't control and target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. Volcanic Offering deals 7 damage to target creature you don't control and 7 damage to target creature of an opponent's choice you don't control. My gosh. You can also use Hanata's ability defensively. March a Swirling Mist, X and a blue for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. Spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way, but you don't even need to do that most of the time, dude. Up to X target creatures, phase out. Phase out your stuff in response to Farewell or a board wipe. Phase out your opponent's stuff in response to an Alpha Strike. Hanata is kind of a high skill ceiling commander that's rewarding, very easy to build. You should try it out, dude. Ride the horse across the night sky, your balls dancing in the wind. Alright, let's move on to Kurkesh Onaki Ancient. 2 red for a legendary creature, Ogre Spirit. It's a 4/3. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. The Onaki were masters of the dark arts, brother. They had bananas coming out of their ears. That's what Melania told me. Stormy Daniels. Alright, listen, this is a combo commander that generates infinite mana in a few different ways, centered around Basalt Monolith for the most part. So this is 3 generic mana for an artifact. Basalt Monolith doesn't untap during your untap step, has tap, add 3 colorless. 3 colorless, untap it. Sounds like a piece of crap, right? Well, obviously the first ability is a mana ability, so we can't copy that. But the second ability is not, so we can convert a red mana into 3 colorless mana, which is fantastic, but we need lots of red mana to make lots of colorless mana. So Gemstone Array, Prismite, they can do the trick here, generating infinite mana. We also have Voltaic Key, Gilded Lotus. Copy the untap ability of Voltaic Key and use the copy to untap the Voltaic Key. The original ability targets the Lotus. Here we go, brother. From there, we include some mana sinks that let us ping down the whole damn table at once. Fireball, immolate your foes. Walking Ballista if you want. Throw a Ballista Bolt up their rectums, brother. Very fun deck, very under the radar. First infinite I ever pulled in a 5-player game, and it felt pretty good. Alright, this one's definitely under the radar. Rigo Streetwise Mentor, hybrid green-white, white, and a hybrid white-blue for a legendary creature cat citizen. It's a 2/2. Enters the battlefield with a shield counter. Whenever you attack a player or planeswalker with 1 or more creatures with power 1 or less, draw a card. Sounds like this guy's missing half his name, should be Rodrigo or Rigatoni or something like that. Okay, this guy's kind of bad, alright? I get it, man. I never actually won a game with this deck, but I had a lot of fun, and I just wanted something to stick my Allurin into. So that's 2 green for an enchantment. Any player may cast creature spells with mana value 3 or less without paying their mana cost and as though they had flash. So you cast a Shrieking Drake, go infinite somehow, Cathar's Crusade, fun stuff like that. Listen, I may not have thought this one through completely. I'm not sure where I was going with this deck, but that's better commander, dude. I do have an Allurin I literally pulled out of a shoebox filled with cards in 2020 that I bought. I made this a long time ago, so check out the deck list, tell me what the heck I was going for in there. All I know is that this was a fun concept deck. The idea of a deck filled with 1/1s made me happy. It's a deck for your favorite Bant Legends too. Derevi's in there, wreaking havoc. Bess, Soul Nourisher with a dipper full of funk. 1 green and a white for a legendary creature, human citizen. It's a 1/1. Whenever 1 or more other creatures with base power and toughness 1/1 enter the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Bess. Whenever she attacks, each other creature you control with base power and toughness 1/1 gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Bess. Anyways, man, fun little budget deck that you play after you stomp too many times, because you gotta work for this one to win. And moving on to Belbe, Corrupted Observer, black and a green for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Zombie Elf. It's a 2/2. At the beginning of each player's post-combat main phase, that player adds colorless for each of my opponents who lost life this turn. Damage causes loss of life. Those who wish to become the Evankar must first cast off the shackles of compassion. That's what you do in this deck, brother. You cast off the shackles of any human emotion. Turn 3, you cast the Torment of Hellfire with X equal to 10. And I'm going to tell you how that happens. But first, appreciate that art, man. Appreciate it right now, you silly goose. She has a ton of lore surrounding her reanimated corpse with a magical Eye of Yawgmoth implanted in her torso. Alright, so there's these little creatures flashing across your screen as we speak. And there are enough 1 and 2 mana creatures like this to ensure a statistical probability of getting them out turn 1 or 2. Once that happens, you have access to 6 colorless mana on your second main phase turn 2. Then you cast something like Dreamstone Hedron. Rinse and repeat on turn 3. If you make your land drops, you have access to 12 mana. Bing, bang, boom, you're off to the races. It's a big mana deck, brother. Throw out a sweet Genesis wave, that'll do it. You'll be way out ahead and ready to kill everybody. Slot in some Eldrazi or big colorless creatures to cash in on that 6 mana every turn. Belbe's a fantastic, fun deck. Check out my paper deck list, it's a little pricier. I'll warn you right now, dude. But it's a lot of fun. Okay, bonus banger, better commander, Kethek, Crucible Goliath, 2 black and a red, legendary creature, Phyrexian Beast. It's a 4/4. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card with lesser mana value. Put it onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is a fun little sacrifice deck that makes creature token copies into a weird polymorph action. It's pretty restrictive, but it's a lot of fun. Use cards like Heat Shimmer, make a token, then murk it mercilessly. It's a neat little deck, man. This was one of those that called to me, even though on the surface it doesn't seem very good. It just took a little imagination. Now black has a bunch of little pseudo undying effects that get those creatures back that you sacrifice, so that's nice. Or you steal your opponent's creature, sack it at the end step to polymorph into some big utility creature. It turned out to be a really fun, unique deck list, included a lot of interaction. Now you can check out the deck list in the description if you want, see what you think. This guy's a beast. He's the 4th Beastie Boy and I like him. Anyways, man, I hope you guys stay with me on the road to 1 million subscribers. I'll probably die old age before I get there, but I'm taking all of you guys with me. Nicky G, Better Commander, signing off.